Yes, yes, hello. It's another edition of the Larger Than Life, but not just any edition.
Oh, not just any edition.
Not just
Fred.
any. It's the season finale.
How about that?
How about that, huh?
We
Hard
forgot
to believe.
Yeah, we forgot to check with the network to see if that's
Right.
what was in their budget, but we've decided amongst ourselves that in order to give you the time you need to finish all of the things that you need to do for the holidays and to prep for big season 2 starting in 2021, this is the time for this season. Well,
Let's just tell
season
the-
finale for this.
Let's just
man.
tell the truth.
All right.
Bottom line is we've got now this evening, and then we've also got our very special house guest, which we'll tell you about momentarily. And then we've figured that's it. We need a little time away, right?
Yep.
For the holidays, like you all do.
But what we're doing is one
Yes.
larger than live, one
Right.
holiday house guest,
Yep.
and one more Gamble
yeah.
and Fid Reality
Yep.
Check Roadshow.
Correct.
Which is going to be happening on the 28th. More about that later, where you can join us for
Yes.
that between Christmas and New Year's, and that will put the wraps on the season.
It will, because we've got a lot of new things coming next season.
We'll see.
Well, we're working on those. We've
We'll see.
discussed. No, come on now. We
Oh,
are
we did.
commitment, man.
Yeah, we wanna
Well,
commit.
it can't. Let's be honest. 2021. It can't be, can it?
Oh, don't.
No, I am. I am. Hang on. I will too. It can't be. Anyway, we got a lot to get to tonight for your Larger Than Live. We are here in the bubble, and we're getting snow globe.
We've actually decided to call it the snow globe now that we're
nice
in
of you to
full-on
tell me
winter
that.
time. Well, you weren't at the production meeting
Oh, my
beforehand
bad.
that we had 1 minute before we
Right,
went on.
sure.
Actually, you were here. You just weren't paying attention.
I wasn't paying attention. You know why? Because I was out chopping down this awesome Christmas tree. Actually, I won't take credit for that. The Gamble family yesterday purchased 2. We couldn't get one our normal size, so we got 2 smaller. But you were kind enough to bring this just,
Gem.
oh, my God. I mean, seriously, what do you keep that around for?
Calvin brought that in
Did
his
he
mouth
now?
this
Right.
morning, so I decorated it and brought it over.
We did a nice job just in a quick turnaround. Right. Looks outstanding.
Oh, it's good to be here in the Snow Globe, one
It
of
is.
our many, many, many locations from which we broadcast and emanate. We don't have a specific office space, but that's perfect for us because we don't need specific office space. If you're in the same boat looking into 2021, think maybe it's time to downsize, or I just want some space where I can teleconference, have a cocktail, do our thing, then you need to check out our friends at Fueled Collective.
All right. So, and
Just
we're
letting
going
it,
to.
I'm letting the typing effect.
Well, I was right. That was a pause for effect, I do believe, correct?
It's a pause that refreshes.
Well, we're actually maybe going to invite our last house guest to meet us once the holiday season is over, and he takes a deep breath.
Yeah, he needs some other office space
he
because
does.
you know he gets fed up with being around the folks at the North Pole all
Correct.
year long. So it'll be nice to get him out
Yeah.
to a little extra space, and that would be our holiday house guest,
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Doesn't get any bigger than that. We're going to end the year with the top of the year. Santa Claus, see how things have been going so far. Got a busy season ahead, so we had to get him a little early because he's got to get back on the road, see what some of the requests are, because he's already been out there meeting with families and doing some things, and it'll be interesting. I bet I can guess. I bet the E word is what most kids of any age, including adult kids, want, and that be electronics.
Oh, I thought you were going to say elf. I was like,
Well-
he can't be taking those out and giving them away. He needs them.
No, he does need those.
Yeah, electronics is probably, I would go with you there. I think the PS9 or whatever it is that's out
I think
right
it's
now.
5. You can't get it.
Is it 5?
Because you couldn't wait. Remember, you wait for 16 hours and you still couldn't get
Still
it.
couldn't
Damn
get
it.
it, yeah.
Then you verbally berated Fred.
Whose fault it was
Right,
not.
no doubt, because he couldn't keep them in stock.
Well,
Let's
you know
just
what?
move along.
If you're looking for gifts for
Yes.
the coming year, our podcast could be one of those. It'll be a gift for your
yes.
ears because that's one of the things we're working on for 2021. But before we look that far ahead, and before we get ahead of ourselves over the tips of our skis about Santa on Wednesday night, we sadly have to look back at a couple of things. I think on a good note, you called me the other day and you said, hey, you come on our show on LW, you win the Crosstown Shootout. How easy
Yeah.
is that? Skyline Chili Crosstown Shootout on Sunday. It was nip and tuck there for the first, most of the game till about the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, it actually was a really good game. I mean, and this is a rivalry that's the fervor of the fans make it. I mean, they really do, and obviously this year not the case like everything else. But I will say college basketball, despite all those cancellations, there have been a great early season matchups, and this being one of them. And Xavier already having 5 games played, UC just the one. And UC with a lot more transition of players, and I think it showed. I mean, I do down the stretch, but Xavier, Tell you what, they're 6-0, and Travis Steele's got the Muskies. Don't forget last year they lost that game to DePaul early in the Big East Conference tournament. Before it got kiboshed. And they were on the NCAA tournament bubble. Now, they haven't made the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, so I think they got a chance this year, and I thought it was a very, very entertaining game.
It was funny. The first thing I saw when I flipped it on, I just now realized, Fred, you know how you don't realize something that you should have known for quite some time, and then you feel like a complete dope when you do realize it? I
wouldn't know anything about that.
I was watching the Bengals fiasco on my TV, and I'm like, oh, I've got YouTube TV. I can bring the other game up on my iPad. So I had the basketball game here. I could have brought up a third thing on my phone because of YouTube TV. But the very first thing I saw, and I thought back to Travis Steele being on with us last Thursday on LW, was a pass down low to the big guy from UC, and he just went up like,
oh, yeah.
You know, he called him the Ivan Drago of the UC team.
Yes.
That kid, what is he, 7'1"?
7'1". He's a transfer. He came over with John Brandon from NKU.
Yeah, he's a
so
big
when
guy.
John Brandon took the job at UC,
that was the very first play I saw, and I'm like, "Ooh, man!" It took me a minute to figure out which team was in which jerseys too. I think I was kind of thinking the wrong thing was happening for a minute.
Play-by-play guy Jason Benetti's really, really good. He's the White Sox announcer, and I think and Dan Dockich, who was the former IU player under Knight, former college basketball coach. I thought they gave a great perspective. They got a little Skyline Chili, and even Seth Greenberg in the studio made mention multiple times the Skyline Chili. Yeah, he did. So, but no, it was a good basketball game. I think both of these teams, as the season wears on, will both be decent. I mean, I think if you're anybody who likes that game and likes that rivalry, it was a very entertaining basketball.
Well, and every time I turned it back up or on, and started paying attention again, is it DeJulius?
DeJulius,
yeah,
yes.
That dude was burying the ball from everywhere. And every time I turned it on, it was either the big guy or him. It seemed like they scored most of the points what I saw.
And Paul Scruggs is really good. He's the guy that Travis Steele is going to count on. So I think it'll be an entertaining. And up next for Xavier on Wednesday night, I believe they host Oklahoma here at the Cintas Center, which is a big game. So, and I know COVID notwithstanding, I think Tennessee, Georgia, road games for UC. So
well, and you and I think would agree that typically this is the best time for a sports fan.
Oh, no question.
With college basketball gearing up and the NFL kind of, getting into the back half of the season. So tonight, I mean, obviously the scheduling has been a nightmare, but 2 games today, 5 o'clock with the Steelers hosting Washington, and then the later game, which I thought, why didn't they give the Steelers the late game? But it's a West Coast game.
Correct.
Later, and they couldn't move it to noon.
Don't forget, it's that weird San Francisco had to move out of San Francisco this week and next, so they're playing Buffalo in Arizona.
Yeah,
because of the county, they can't have any. Dude, let's just move along.
Insane, but I guess
that's a good doubleheader. And then even there's a Tuesday night game, bad, albeit Dallas and the Ravens. Wish the Bengals would have been scheduled for Wednesday or not played.
Yeah, well, speaking of bad football, what an embarrassment. I mean, from a disciplinary standpoint and gameplay and everything else yesterday, that game was as embarrassing as once was it Boyd and then the guy that was
it was
number one
correct.
D-back got ejected. I'm like, this second half's going to be a gem. What an embarrassing display of lack of discipline on all fronts.
I sent a text out during the game to somebody. I said, has the ghost of Marvin Lewis reappeared? Because I will tell you, the Bengals, now look, they are bad on offense. I mean, without Joe Burrow, without Joe Mixon, with a suspect offensive line, then Boyd goes out, A.J. Green. I mean, they don't even have, as Lance McAllister said, it's like a D2 college team playing on a D1 field.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bad. But then, to me, I really felt like, this year you've heard about they're playing hard and this and that. There's been the back and forth about Zach Taylor.
Yay.
I felt yesterday like there was no control, no discipline whatsoever. It literally reminded me of previous Bengal years going by.
Well, and this isn't Zach Taylor. This is systemic. This is decades long. No discipline, no control, no anything. And I think
it is, but I would tell you, though, Zach Taylor, if I'm the coach and I want to stand up and tell these guys I'm not going to be like the previous regime, there's no way Mike Thomas goes out there the second time, let alone the third time.
Right, exactly. And I think that in and of itself was very telling. And then when you saw him sitting over on the sideline laughing,
right.
Just laughing, it is what it is.
Remember, we saw that in years gone by, too.
Yeah.
Players who didn't care sitting on the bench. I mean, look, they're 2-9-1. You could argue the Dallas game's maybe their only remote chance of one more victory. But even that, I would tell you, remember, before Burrow went down, you and I were talking about, man, look at the second half of the season. Right.
Yeah.
I would tell you, Zach Taylor should not be an NFL head coach based on he was a quarterback's coach.
Well,
that's it.
The only good news is you did hear him say that Burrow had successful knee surgery, so that was good news. That was the only bright spot in the game. But you brought up on Thursday, you said, as a Bengals fan, you want to see over the last 2 years have just been abominable.
Horrible.
But in Miami, it hadn't been so good either. So you want to see the difference between two programs and what can happen in 2 years. And you mentioned the Dolphins, but I mean, look at the Browns.
Oh.
Are they for real,
Yeah.
or is that a joke? Or what? I mean, what's going on there?
I think they are. I mean, look, I think this is a year after most people thought the Browns last year. They made a bunch of offseason acquisitions. They got different player personnel people. I think they've got some talent. I mean, they're 9-3, and you could argue we were looking at their schedule. They could finish 12-4.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's quite a
can't believe
turnaround.
it.
But here's the problem. You get back to Bengals. The problem is Burrow glossed over, and this is no knock on Burrow, but he became such an instant sensation, put up such great numbers, gave fans, everybody was so focused, and rightly so, on Burrow with Boyd and Higgins and all that what we forgot about was how bad the other parts of this puzzle still are.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. So whenever he comes back, what's he coming back to? He's coming back to the same group of guys. This is a bad football team. I'm sorry. It's terrible. I mean, what's Zach Taylor? 0-14-1 on the road since he took over. Come on, man. This is a joke.
Well, and you're not going to get any argument from me on a number of levels, but the least of which is because I'm a fan of somebody else in the division. It's just bad. It's hard to watch. And that game, as I kept watching, it kept degenerating down, on both sides.
Right, the Dolphins.
The bench clearing brawl was unnecessary. I mean, I get that. You come, the guy, Thomas lays this guy out a second time head hunting. Well, not head hunting, but rib cage hunting. And you're right. He shouldn't have been in the game any further.
Well, and I think if
Flores
you
had every right to be pissed.
And again, Miami, they are 8-4. I think their schedule's really difficult, but nonetheless, would you rather be 2-9-1 or 8-4? Yeah. I mean, and Brian Flores, kind of a no-nonsense guy. They've worked Tua into the mix after Fitzpatrick. I don't know. The Bengals to me show zero signs of hope. Zero.
Well, there is a new show out. If you're a fan of The Crown, there's a new show out that I shared on my Facebook page that you might want to watch. It's all themed, similar theme to The Crown. The power of the unwilling monarch left to them by their father.
Right.
And a mantra on how to deal with any situation is don't do anything. So you can find that on my Facebook page. I may share that with you as well.
And while we're on the subject of turnarounds and not turnarounds, I offer you the Cincinnati version in the MLS. FC Cincinnati, which, remember last year, the Columbus Crew were horrific.
Abominable.
They were among the worst teams in the MLS. Yesterday, after a 1-0 victory over New England, and it was a shootout.
It wasn't a shootout.
Oh, it was
an
a shootout.
actual
I'm sorry. That's right.
Scored goal. I went back and watched the highlight.
They now are going to play in the MLS Cup.
That's crazy.
1 year. And again, FC Cincinnati. I mean, two comparable programs last year. And Nashville, which, correct me if I'm wrong, became an expansion team like FC Cincinnati. They also made the postseason as well. So, I don't know. There's something about Cincinnati right now that just, man, if you're a professional team, the karma's not good.
Snake bit. Yeah, I think there is a snake bit. Now let's wrap up quickly. He's Gandalf Finn. It is our final Larger Than Live full edition for the year. We've got a holiday house guest with Santa this Wednesday night at 7 right here. And then we'll be out on the Reality Check Roadshow out at Ralph Fulton, the VFW Lodge there in Erlanger. Before that's the Bills-Pats game, right?
Bills-New England game, and New England now suddenly 6-6, so that'll be on December 28th Monday. We'll be out there about 90 minutes before kickoff.
Well, we're going to be on LW from 3 to 6.
Oh, we are, right.
And then hauling ass to get out there
to
make sure that we're out there for the for pregame but that'll be fun.
But we want you to join us, too,
Please
and it's a
come
lot
out.
of fun out there. Stacy and the crew. Awesome food. They always have some great beverages, too. Hope they have the Guinness Milk Stout again, man. God, that was just ridiculous.
I might take the rest of that keg and throw it in the back of my car because I can't find it anywhere.
Or we'll just sit there until it's gone.
Until it's gone. There is that. All we have
Could
to
be
wait
a
for
welcome
is
to Tuesday, my friend.
New Year's Eve.
Yes.
I think see you next Tuesday may be part of it if we sit there and finish
may be,
the rest of the keg, if you know what I mean. Wrapping up on the NFL. I asked this question a while back, but after the game yesterday, after the Bengals game, the point of kickoffs. I don't get it anymore. And now, punting. Honestly, why don't we just do this? Why don't we get rid of punters, get rid of the kickoffs, Just assume that it went 45 yards, assess the block in the back penalty, and move on.
Well, you know what?
You can't have any sort of kick other than a field goal where there isn't that nonsense going on.
But let me ask you, aren't there special teams coaches and coordinators and people who are designated to only be on special teams? The answer is yes. So that's what drives me crazy. You hear all these coaches and they pontificate, we don't have time for this, we don't have time for that. You've got more than enough. Don't tell me about what are you doing during the week in between games? I mean, really, what are you doing?
I don't know, and I really don't know how you practice special teams if you can't really hit. You know what I mean? That seems to be something.
Right.
You can't make the wedge anymore. You can't set your blocking up.
And the
all
Bengals,
of that, but
Darren Simmons is literally a well-respected special teams coach. I know it didn't appear that way yesterday, but I'm just telling you, around the league, he is well-respected.
Well,
so there you go.
I don't know. It was. There were so many flags, and the game went on. I mean, there were 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter after 4:00.
I was glad the Skyline Chili Crosstown shootout started at 3.
Yeah, same here.
It was awesome.
I did bounce that, is to be sure. Now, and then I flipped over to the Green Bay game, and then later watched the Kansas City game with the two presumably already predetermined MVP
Jake
candidates.
watched.
Huh?
Jake was watching.
Jake
both of them. It was a big day for Jake.
I don't know anyone named just Jake.
Don't you?
No.
And Kansas City, but you know what? What they showed was, even on a night when they didn't do what everybody expects them to do, they still won. I mean, they're still it's Pittsburgh and Kansas City, and I think it's a little more wide open in the NFC. The NFC's got some teams. Seattle's now, I mean, the Giants won at Seattle. There's some weird games.
Well, the Steelers could do them a favor even further tonight.
Correct.
Which I'd like to think they're going to, but who knows? So we have, I guess, besides the NFL, kind of back halving it here, we still have the thing right in front of the tips of our noses, the holidays. And, I mean, we'll talk with Santa about that on Wednesday night. But, I mean, you and I have to also be Santa to a degree for a number of folks. And where are you in that process?
Excuse me?
Okay, then you want to move on?
Where am I in the process?
The process of perhaps gift purchases or Santa-fying the household.
Well, now hold on.
Yeah, why?
So the lovely wife, she doesn't want anything, right? She doesn't. And honestly, I don't really either. No, she doesn't. And then let me give you instant replay here, because this happens. Then I will try. That means I'm supposed to move over. Is this good?
We're getting a little off camera.
I don't give it. Let's just call it what it is. Am I standing where you'd like me to stand? See, I'm a good servant. That's
floor
what
director,
I mean.
Or floor director.
So every year, and I am that kind of person who, when I get that, like, I don't want anything, I think you'll agree with me.
I already know what you're going to say.
I can't do nothing. I can't. Although, so then what I do is I do some things, and then she gets a little irritated with me.
Well, try doing nothing and see how that goes.
No, I can say
even if nothing is what's told. Care. No,
she wouldn't care.
No offense,
she really
she's
would.
only 8 feet away, but I don't believe that.
She would not. No, I can tell you, she would not care. She really would. But here's the problem. But here's the issue. Yeah, because I've
not
had
even the effort, Fred. You got to make some sort of effort.
It's been such a banner financial 2020 for the small business world.
You know what?
Yes.
It's the thought that counts, Fred. Right. If you put effort in and zero thought.
Okay, so here's what I can do. I can do things like I can wear different outfits at night. That's inexpensive. Yeah, that's free. I could do that. I could. No, she said not bitch. That's
bitching.
Not happening. No, that's
no bitching.
Let's be. Can we keep this realistic?
What
please?
good would we be if we weren't doing that?
Right. I mean, what would she? People go, "Are you okay?"
Can I be honest with you? And I have to tell you, this is a true
Yeah.
story. I looked at my deodorant, and it had a sticker on it that says non-irritant, and I'm like, "What fun is that?"
Right.
It's no fun.
Well, so I only have one. I want one thing for Christmas.
What's that?
Cologne. That's it. Just one male cologne.
All right, here's what we'll do.
I can apply to my buttocks.
We'll make a deal right now.
Okay.
Lori is our floor director, our set director,
right.
Our executive producer, craft service, pretty much doing the whole damn thing except the blah 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 part of it. You get him the cologne, I'll get him the cologne classes on how to put it on. How about that? If you don't know what we're talking about, go to our YouTube channel, go to last week's episode.
I think I'm starting a trend.
Yeah, do you? Well, but Rudy Giuliani should probably follow that trend.
So at least Rudy Giuliani, when that occurred, at least what would have happened is a better aroma would have filled the room, right? See? So I would just tell all you men out there, think of others as you're walking up a flight of stairs. That's all I'm going to tell you. And that'll be, I may invent between now and the new year when we launch our season 2, I may come up with a couple new products.
Yeah, I think you need to come up with one called Colonely. You need to come up with that because that's what you'll be if you keep putting on your crack.
Not on the crack. It just gets
on the
applied
buttock?
quickly to the buttock.
All right, Forrest. Very
It
good.
does.
All right, so
Hey, but I got to bring up one thing. You didn't see this, I know, but college football over the weekend. I'm a big college football fan. There was a created game. So the college football playoff rankings where UC is expected to stay number 7. BYU, which was undefeated and all the way back at 13, and then Coastal Carolina. Who's ever heard of Coastal Carolina? So Coastal Carolina was supposed to play Liberty. And because of the pandemic issues, they couldn't. So BYU scheduled a game with Coastal Carolina. ESPN picked it up. It was on at 5:30 on Saturday. It turned out to be an awesome game. That literally, remember the Super Bowl where the Rams tackled Tennessee at the 1-yard line?
Right.
It ended with that, with BYU being tackled at the 1. Coastal Carolina won 22-17. But they showed during the course of the game a group of brothers who made a T-shirt.
Okay.
So if anybody remembers the old Notre Dame, Miami of Florida, Catholics versus convicts, which was highly but that's what it was.
Yeah.
They had Mormons for BYU versus mullets
Oh, wow.
because of the coastal. Oh, dude, it was great. And that's kind of they've taken on that, like, that's been their persona that the
funny.
coach has gone with. Oh, it's great.
That's
I mean,
great.
it's and they showed the guy who made them, and I guess they made a small batch, gone instantly, made more, gone again, and now they're going crazy. And Coastal Carolina, gorgeous. I mean, it's Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's they're undefeated, and their coach, it was great. They interviewed him on the field after the game, and they said something like, so what are you going to tell the team in the locker room at the game? He goes, you might want to come in there. You might want to see what's going to go. So, I mean, it's one of those for me. No offense, I'm so tired of Alabama. I'm tired of Ohio
same,
State.
yeah.
That it was cool to watch a couple teams that never get the spotlight. And when I saw that Mormons versus Muslims, I'm going to get me one of those because that's awesome.
It's good that they didn't Mormons versus and then put Mormons again and just cross out the second M.
No, and they actually said that they talked to the BYU people and they were okay with that.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
so,
well, good
yeah.
for them because
Yeah.
you wouldn't think they would be.
Right. No,
Not
right.
so much.
Right. So there you go.
Oh man, well,
Something
you know
to
what?
laugh
That's
about.
good stuff. And I think my favorite sports T-shirt story ever was, oh God, it wasn't Bosworth. I think it was Bosworth. Brian Bosworth. Everybody hated him.
Oh, yeah.
in college, and they said everywhere that you went, like outside in the tailgating area, anytime he even came to a stadium, they were selling out of
Right,
Bosworth
right.
Sucks T-shirts.
Yep,
Every single place they went, and it came to find out later he was the one making them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you
He
do
made 'em and
realize
sold them all.
You do realize the Catholics versus convicts. There was an E60 special about that, and you do realize. Join us on Thursday night, 9 to midnight, 700 WLW for the reality check there. That person who made those while at Notre Dame happens to reside in the building.
That's great. That's
So,
pretty funny.
Yeah. So it's and that turned into a literally.
I don't think
did
that
a-
was as well received.
No,
was it?
no. But they did and it actually got some other guys. If you haven't seen it, look it up because they archived those E60s. It's worth giving a look to.
All right. He's Gamble. I'm Finn. It is here in the Snow Globe, a Larger Than Live, our final Larger Than Life full length version for the season.
This season, right? And look,
we
I even
have-
dressed up for you.
You did. You
today.
got all dressed up. You
This
dressed up in
shirt-
the color of your attitude. I dressed up in
Right.
the color of my soul.
This shirt looks awesome with gym shorts.
I'll bet it does.
Tremendous look. Yes.
You look like the schnozberries taste like schnozberries, like lickable wallpaper. I've got all Willy Wonka.
Leave it alone.
Get over here. Come here.
It's
Come on.
all good.
Come on
I
over.
thought this
Come
looked
on.
like Christmas lights.
It does.
I don't know.
It does. It looks.
Well, I don't
it's-
have any real like green or red, so
That is weird. As much as you do with the Reds, that you don't have any
Well, no,
red,
no.
red clothing.
I have some, but I kind of like to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, you certainly have. It's
Thank you.
I can't even look at you. It's like an optical illusion looking at you
Thank you.
side by
Appreciate
side
that.
right now. It's sort of like when Johnny Carson used to wear a seersucker suit on TV, and it would just like move all over the place on NBC before he had high def.
I long for the days of Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson.
Some of these clowns are on late night.
Here's the
now.
good stuff.
I'm sorry.
So we're
My
moving
bad.
forward. We
Digress.
got Santa on Wednesday for our last house guest. Then we've got the live at the Ralph Fulton VFW on the 28th. But between now and then, there might be a minute, 90-second little interludes of things from us. So we invite you to go to our YouTube channel. It is Gamble capital N Finn, and like and share. We're just trying to get, or subscribe, I guess is the word.
Subscribe,
that's being
yes,
used
that's
there.
correct.
Subscribe, because we're going to really in 2021 really going to try to push more that way, because it's a little cooler to be on there because you can kind of say and do the things you want to do instead of being shot down where right here. So we're going to be looking ahead to that, the podcast, a lot of other things. But here's a question as we move
Yes.
into the new year, Fred. And we talk about this with the C word, and we've asked the question, is anything ever going to get, and maybe we could talk to Santa about this too, is anything ever going to get back to normal? Concerts, sporting events. I mean, we even talking about it, but I don't think we did. Musicians doing pay-per-view concerts.
Right.
That's bringing a crew together to do one show. Okay, that doesn't really help them much from the touring standpoint. But what about like football games? When will that get back to? Would you pay-per-view on a Sunday $3 on a network to watch a football game? And then I have an overarching question, which comes into play for you more probably
Okay.
than me after that about the
What
C word.
I think sadly, I'm longing concert-wise. I want to go to some concerts. I do, because I feel like, God, it's been, and I didn't go to a lot before all this
no,
went
you
down.
didn't, but it makes you.
So
yeah.
makes you want it even more. Sporting events, I got to be honest with you, and I think I'm probably with sports the way you are, some with concerts, because you live that life for so long. I've grown accustomed to watching it on television. Now, there's like a couple places, like I'm an Iowa football fan. I'd like to go to a game in Iowa City. I'd like to do that. I'd like to go to South Bend and see a Notre Dame game. I've been there once. But, I like to do some maybe destinations like that.
Experiential
I'd like to go to
things.
Philly and see Villanova. Yes, and things like that. But I enjoy going to Reds games. I do. You could pay me, drive me to Bengals. I wouldn't go to set foot in Paul Brown Stadium. But Reds, I would. Yeah, I'm anxious to go. And I think we've had that. Are people going to be more anxious to get back and go, or are they going to be more inclined to say, well, you know what, I've kind of learned to adjust without it, or maybe if I can pay a little less and I can watch it from home? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Well,
and do networks take advantage? So, you think, was it Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah,
so they're
moving
now
all their releases
they're moving all
to
their
HBO
releases
Max.
to streaming, to HBO Max.
Yeah.
So are sports entities going to do that same thing? Or
Well, that's going to leave a lot of people in the lurch. Some of these big movie
No
chains
question.
are just like, oh, really? All
Right.
right. Is that how it's going to go?
yeah, right.
And it's going to be game on. That's
It
not
is
going to go well.
But with all this going on, everybody behind the scenes is trying to figure out the way that they
The
can
next model.
and where are we headed from here, and how can just like that company, like it or not, and you're correct about what you just said, but they're trying to do something forward thinking. Does it work? Will it work? I don't know.
So I guess the other question too is what will this do ultimately? Let's say you could put how many does Great American hold?
Roughly low 40s, 42 and change.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought between
Low
35
40s.
and 45.
Yeah.
So let's say they could do 20,000.
Okay.
Are those ticket prices going to go up, or are those ticket prices going to go down to
That's
get you
a
to come
great-
to the ballpark?
That's a great question. I think initially, I think they're going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Or I don't think they're going to go up. I think the problem is, and I know where you're, I think, going with this is, we've discussed kind of smaller venues, more of a premium to be able to go. The problem is all these facilities have currently, in their current situation, too many seats.
Right.
So you think about, I'm going to use FC Cincinnati and their new stadium, which will be up and running in March or somewhat not long thereafter. They have about 20,000 seats, and I may be off of one or two, but they have 4,500 premium seats.
Premium, yeah.
Those are all sold. I think that's where it's headed. I think that's where the future of sports and stadia and everything. I think you could even see that with concerts.
Yeah.
Smaller venues, better options, over time, more expensive options. That's where it's going to go.
If I felt like I could get the answer and and you had mentioned that before, that Trumpy sort of predicted.
Yeah, Bob Trump, he predicted the same thing. He predicted like smallish and everybody else watching on pay-per-view.
Well, I would love to tell you that based on the people I know in Live Nation that I can make 2 or 3 phone calls and get some insight on that. But I don't really think, as big of an entity as they are, I think they're still spinning right now, trying to figure out what's going to happen indoors, outdoors, clubs, and theaters. We spent all those years building the clubs and theaters,
right.
5 or 6 new clubs or theaters every year. And now I think you're just going to see them start going bam, 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 bam.
Think about Cincinnati. You've got the new venue right next between Great American and Paul Brown Stadium. You've got the venue in Newport. I mean, there are all these. I mean, really, I think the casino downtown's already gone away from shows.
Well, Hard Rock, but now that it's the
right,
Hard Rock,
maybe
I think you're going to see them get back
but
in
there
that game.
But I mean,
Taft,
really?
You've got
Taft. You've got Aronoff still does some shows. They do.
Yep.
You've
got not Motor Pub, but the Woodward Theater down there. I mean, and then you've still got 20th Century.
20th Century, Madison Theater, Bogart. I mean, we're in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
We're not in L.A. or New York. Or, I mean,
in Philly, I would be on conference calls, on Live Nation conference calls. We had 5 venues in Philadelphia.
Wow. But
we had 5.
Here's the question I have for you. A lot of the premise, I think, that everybody kind of think that was founded on was that companies would be buying. But now look, now you got companies shedding office space, working from home, cutting jobs. You're not going to cut jobs and then go buy premium seat. I mean, it's I don't.
You don't think
well,
so?
You right. I know.
You want to bet?
That some will, but it's not the right thing.
The optics will be terrible, but guess who cares about that?
I know.
Not the people who don't care.
Well, but I would tell you this: there used to be somebody. If your CEO was a big tennis fan, he would call down, or she would call down to marketing and say, sponsor that tennis tournament. With shareholders anymore, that's gone away.
Yeah.
There's further scrutinizing, many times by idiots, but there's further scrutinizing of sponsorship.
All right. So my final question here, because you mentioned Bogarts, and I have a Bogart story I want to tell you also that ties into my show and tell, which we'll get to. But my final question for the C word is, and this will be really the last time we talk about it this year, except maybe on the LW show.
You're right.
Is how long into the new year will this be used for better or worse, true or false, as the reason people aren't doing their jobs and doing what they're supposed to do? How long will people use COVID as the reason they are not doing what they told you they were going to do? Oh, I agree.
I'm going
off camera. I agree with the off camera premise.
Latter half of the year, if not the entire 2021.
Yep, absolutely.
Because it's already fueled up everywhere.
Yep,
it's everywhere.
Yep. And I would tell you, you know as well as I do, in past history, the thing that I would equate to that would be when I was at EBN, the fireworks. Hey, we're getting ready for the fireworks. We're pretty busy. I don't have time to
and I would tell you.
And then on the back end, we're wrapping up from the fireworks. And I know a lot of times that was just used as a BS excuse to just take a break.
Well, here you go. It used to be Christmas. Now it's the holiday season starting before Thanksgiving. If I had a $5 bill, which I could use right now, for anyone who said, get back to me after the first of the year.
Oh, yeah.
So then you get back after the first of the year, and what do they say? Well, hang on, I'm just getting back at it. Give me some time. I mean, come on, man.
Well, and especially when we've become accustomed, and if you're out there doing business with larger companies, the fiscal year and the calendar year are two different things. So you have got to get into that conversation for the fiscal year in October. Yeah.
Right.
You have to really be in the hunt for that in October. And there's so many companies right now that are in this use it or lose it mentality. And they're trying to figure out how they can book something so they can save that money for the next year. Because to your point about shareholders, are like, what's that line right there? Well, we clearly don't need that. Well, that can go.
2 companies that I do business with changed from a fiscal year that was kind of a, July, June, whatever, to now calendar years become their fiscal year. Yeah. They're doing that right now, I think, largely because of what 2020 was like for them. I don't know.
I think,
but the excuse is at some point, stop, please.
All right. Well, that's sort of the way we envision the end of 2020, and I agree, the entire year 2021. I really do, because if it can be used as an excuse, it will be used. But let's get in a time machine and go back. Let's go back not to 2010, not to 2000. Let's go back to 1990. All right. You want to go back to 1990 with me?
I guess. Sure.
Something popped up. Robert Wendell is a guy who has almost every day on Facebook. He has a Bogarts Memories page, and he posts ticket stubs and old flyers,
Really?
and all these different things. And this will lead into show and tell.
Okay.
But he posted a flyer that had Judy Tenuta. Do you remember her, the comedian? She played
I recognize the name.
Accordion,
yes.
and she was brassy and loud and whatever. And I think at one point she was like dating Emo Phillips or something like that. But she was just over the top and just abrasive and whatever. And on the same flyer was Bo Diddley. And I'm like,
really?
That looks really familiar to me. And I'm like, well, I know why, because I was there then. This was 1990. And
Bo Diddley?
I picked her up from the airport. And I remember I was driving her from the airport. She could not have been nicer. So not the character.
Right.
But I had her case that had her squeeze box in it, her accordion. And she couldn't have been nicer. And I'm thinking, you know what? I also picked Bo Diddley up from the airport. Did I tell you that story?
No. I think you mentioned it once. Yeah.
So I pick up Bo Diddley from the airport, and I'm standing there, and he comes off the plane. He's just showing, got the big glasses on. I mean, it's obviously him. We go and we get his bags, and I've got the guitar case, and I know what's in that guitar, that block, guitar. And we get out to. There's a bad word in here, so I may or may not say it. But we get out to my car, and I have a Toyota at the time, a Supra hatchback, a 3-door. So
nothing like being picked up in style from the airport.
It was a nice,
right?
it was a nice car
but
for
you know
for
what
me.
right?
Yeah, but yeah,
you know
it wasn't
right.
a Schlemmo.
Right.
But I opened the thing up and I lay this guitar back in the bag, and I'm like, oh my God, I know what's in here. Da 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 da. He hadn't said a word to me. Well, we've gotten all the way out, back out to the car. He hadn't said a word to me.
Did you say anything to him at
No,
all?
I was just, what do you say, Mr. Diddley?
Right,
And I
gotcha.
sound like Ned Flanders. So he said, so we get in the car. He still hadn't said anything to me. And I remember that this was a Sunday. And he gets in the car, shuts the door, and we start driving back toward. He was staying at the Vernon Manor at the time, when that was the place we put everybody. And we're driving, and he's just kind of looking around my car, kind of to your point, like, what? Really? I'm Bo Diddley, damn it.
Right.
So I'm Bo Diddley, bitch.
And this is what they sent to get me.
He said, I introduced myself, and he's looking around. He goes, this is one of them Toyota Supras, ain't it? I'm like, oh, Bo Diddley's talking to me. Bo Diddley's talking to me. I can't believe it. Bo Diddley's talking to me. And then I'm like, it is. It's a Toyota Supra, whatever year, 88, whatever it was, 80, or no, probably, what was this, 99? It was probably 71. But so he says, yeah, my daughter's got one of these cars. I'm like, oh my God, I have something in common with Bo Diddley. I can't believe it. Bo Diddley and I are like best friends. We know. He goes, I hate these fucking cars. And I'm like, what? He goes, you can't get in them. You can't get out of them. That hurts my back. And then he wouldn't stop talking. He just talked and talked and talked the whole way through. And then finally there was a break in the action. And he goes, well, can we get some movies? And I'm like, I don't know. There's a theater, blah, blah, blah. I said, there's a Blockbuster, I think, such and so. He goes, no, movies. I'm like, Bo Diddley wants porn. Bo Diddley wants I said, sir, it is Sunday in Cincinnati, Ohio. You got a better chance of opening a snow cone stand in hell than you do of finding porn. And he didn't say another word. But, yeah, he wanted some adult movies on VHS back then. That's what he wanted to get. And so I dropped him off at the Vernon Manor, and I drove, like, my head was just spinning in a circle. I'm like, I can't believe that just happened to me. But it was a funny story, and that happened a lot. I mean, Chris Robinson was in the lobby with me at the Vernon Manor once, and these girls were in town that were doing the female boxing or whatever, and they were all in the lobby, and each one of them was 3 times bigger than him, and he was hiding behind a tree like this because he was afraid he was going to get his ass kicked. But there was just some funny stuff. But that plays into sort of a holiday edition,
all right,
of show and tell, if you're ready to do that.
I'm ready, sure.
All right.
Me.
Oh. Shh. All right. So
me first or you?
Well, I'll just, if you don't mind, I'll just roll through the story.
I'll roll. Go.
All right. So I found this when
All
I
right.
went back to Bogarts to work in 2014.
Okay.
There were all these boxes that were either going to go to storage or the incinerator or whatever. And I'm like, I want to go through those. They were down in the basement covered in dirt and dust and everything else. And I said, I just want to see what's down here. Old posters, whatever.
And I'm surprised that nobody else with the history of that place.
You have to appreciate
Yeah,
the history
no, okay.
to go
I'll
explore
give
the
you.
history. And honestly, the only other one that really did besides Aaron, who was our production manager, but didn't have any interest in things like what I'm about to show you, was Al, the owner of the building.
Right.
And he knew it all. It was all up here.
Yeah,
He didn't
okay.
need like things like this. So in honor of Christmas and the three kings, I decided to go with the fourth king. Okay.
Okay.
As in BB.
Oh, wow.
And I went down and I found this. This is the contract for the BB King show on February 6th, 1990. Okay. And the reason that I found this, and I made copies of it and created a new file and put it downstairs to either be burned or eaten by rats or whatever, is he signed his own contracts.
Oh, wow.
Look, right
okay.
there.
Oh, yeah.
That is his actual
Wow.
signature on that piece of paper. And then on the second page, all he did was initial it.
Huh.
BB, right there. Okay. And I'm like, I'm keeping that. I want that.
Hell yeah,
Because
that's
I was
cool.
there for that show.
Absolutely,
And I
sure.
wanted to have this. So there's a copy of it somewhere. When I was looking around for other, because there were, I mean, the Chili Peppers were there. There were some
Oh, yeah, no
huge
question.
bands in there. And I couldn't find any of these other ones, but they said they had been destroyed or whatever because the time had run out that they had to keep them for auditing purposes. But then, Fred, check this out. The contract, the show was February 6th, 1990. This is ABC Associated Booking, BB King Performance Writer USA, and the contract came to Bogarts and was sent on
Oh, yeah.
December 7th, 1989,
How about that?
to the day,
To the day.
to today.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? I saw that.
See, stuff
accidentally.
like that to me, that's
Yeah.
I
And I
just
wanna
can't
get all
believe-
that framed, but I don't-
can't believe that there isn't like with a place that's got such the heritage of
Well,
that.
typically-
I can't believe there isn't more of that. I
But
really
there's-
can't.
Yeah, there's his stage plot that shows you how far everybody needs to be away
See,
from
that's
him.
cool. That's awesome.
You know, when he's set up in the center
Well,
with
and I'll tell you
Lucille.
what. Before they actually, one of the coolest things, the Cincinnati
I get
Gardens.
sued over this.
Well, the Cincinnati Gardens, they had in the Gardens, which has now obviously been torn down, and boy, it's been awesome what they've built in that area around.
Yeah, it's
it.
really nice. I
Nothing,
love that new giant nothing.
right? But they had a room in there, literally, because people don't realize like the Beatles played the Garden. I mean,
Yeah, for
there's
$2 or
right.
$1.50.
So they had it was like a bar almost where you could just kind of go and hang out, and they had everything from all those they actually had, it was like their archives. To me, I went in there because the Cincinnati Royals, NBA,
Yeah.
played in there. I mean, I could have spent days in there.
Yeah.
It's like walking around a Hall of Fame. You need to go to a Hall of Fame almost by yourself.
Right.
If you're into something and just kind of immerse yourself in that stuff.
Well,
that's cool.
And like I said, I wish I could have found more of these. I was looking around. There were some other ones. There
So
was
they
like
were just
green
going to
Jell-O
throw.
and-
Nobody would have ever thought.
They
prior-
destroy them all because
Well, I
there's
get why they destroy them, but I would have thought somebody would have said, "Man, look, that's I signed." I mean, I
you
don't
would
know.
think, and I'm not doing it to sell it yet, but I'm just saying. When I went down and I saw this, and I'm like, that's his, because mostly the agents signed. these
Sure,
things.
right.
But he was very much a hand me my money, put it in my pocket. It was probably all in a mason jar somewhere, because you know how the old blues guys, a lot
yeah.
of them were
Right,
about
right,
money,
right.
that somebody was going to take it from them if they didn't take it themselves. But I thought that was really
That's
cool.
cool.
And to me, this is the ultimate kind of Bogarts thing for me to have.
Absolutely,
I mean, the
sure.
relationship with Jesse, the brick on the wall, those sorts of things. But that to me was really cool. And I thought, why not bring a fourth king into the Christmas story?
Yeah, there you go.
So there's
All
my
right,
show.
That's
and
cool.
tell.
Mine is shambles compared to that. So down in although it's got a cool story.
I
but-
love this actually.
So it's
this sort of speaks to what we were talking
So basically, down in the basement for the years of attending events and collecting things, so kind of had a bookcase built in under a glass piece. It's a mirage,
about.
just
Montage.
montage. Thank you, of lots of cool different stuff. It's got
What's
stuff
the word we're actually looking for? It's not mirage or montage.
collection.
Okay.
Montage. I think it's montage. Whatever the hell it is, you can see what it is. They're under there, but you'll notice in there is a name tag that just in very big letters, LORI, my wife's name, that she wore when she was a contestant on The Price is Right.
Come on down.
She did.
Oh.
She was the last. So anyway, quick backstory on this.
Did they see you in
Second
the
to
way back
last.
so that you bounced on the way down? Did they? 'Cause
So-
they do that all the time.
So I think so. But so this was back when I was at the radio station WBOB 1160
Oh, yeah.
Bob. And we had shirts that said, "Turn your knob to Bob." So she wore that out there. And in the initial screen, because they screen you before you get into the actual theater, I guess is whatever you want to call it. And you were the second to last. What did you bid on? a dry oven, something like that. And
Appliance of some sort.
An appliance, and you were the bid overbid. But nonetheless, there's
So you never made it out of contestants row.
But there's an extension to the story too. So I thought it would be kind of cool to have a viewing party of Lori on the show
Right.
with all of her friends, and it was scheduled for just like a random on your birthday, around your birthday, which was November, and of course we were having it here, and a unexpected blizzard ice storm came when people were commuting here, including her. Because
you didn't even make it to your own
no.
viewing?
She did, but what I had done is I had everybody kind of the surprise. I had everyone coming early. She was out shopping went to a movie with friends, and these people are here and like, she can't get here. She eventually did, but by that point it was, I mean,
Oh, my God. Just found out you were pregnant with, no drinking.
so anyway, I'm stopping there.
I think that's-
I can't. Now that it's bringing back memories, I'm going to need to sit down for a few minutes after the show here and kind of recollect myself.
And then she was on Press Your Luck, and then there was Nathan. So there you go.
Yeah.
So we did. Oh, my God.
Well, but anyway, but that was cool. I mean, it was, and the fact that it played with the Turn Your Knob to Bob was really probably the reason that, because they look for kind of unique stuff like that.
There's 3 or 4 prototypes that get into contestants row. It's the bouncies that make their way from the back row. There's military, anybody in military, usually somebody in a Greek organization, or just the craziest African American woman they can find, who is just so over the top loud or whatever.
Right, correct.
But and then they get up there and they just about would attack Bob. I mean, Bob would almost split in half if they really went after him.
I can tell you what they are.
What were the parting gifts?
They were awesome.
Turtle wax. It had to be it.
No,
your
you're
supply
close.
of turtle wax.
You're close. The turtle was one. It was a ceramic turtle with that, like, how you go when you're done playing golf.
Yeah.
You would clean with that on top.
Oh, to do your cleats?
To do that, yes, to do your cleats.
Cleat.
We put it outside the front door. There was a John Denver box CD set. Can't make that up.
Oh my God!
And the best of all was because, I mean, she did a great job on the shirt, don't you think? A sewing machine.
Oh my God! Really?
Let me tell you what.
Now, if it was a man, would he have gotten a sewing machine, or would really that was the collection?
She's got about as much chance of using a sewing machine as I do of eating a small pizza. That ain't happening. I mean, and it's gone now. I mean, I don't know where it went. They're all maybe I still have the John Denver box set, but
that's fantastic.
But I did keep that thing out. So I used to tell people, "Hey, clean your shoes off."
Oh my God, that's so great.
So there you go. There's your lovely
so
part.
great.
Remember when they say that now your lovely parting gifts. There they are.
Gifts. All right. Well, I think that's a hell of a way to wrap up the show.
I think it is
there.
too.
All right. Well, so as we mentioned, might as well recap. We still have we have our holiday house guest on Wednesday at 7 o'clock with the one and only Santa Claus.
Yep.
Lots of questions answered for your kids. There's a couple of things in there for the adults, but much like the original Merry Melodies Looney Tunes, they work on 2 levels, so you should be good to go.
Right.
Let's see. Then the 28th.
28th, Monday, December 28th, between Christmas and New Year's, will be in Erlanger, right there on Dixie Highway at the Ralph Fulton VFW Hall. Stacy and all the folks there. It'll be a lot of fun. Prior to Monday Night Football, Bills Patriots. We'll be out there about 90 minutes beforehand.
Right.
Oh,
assuming
right.
State of Kentucky.
Right. Assuming our governor. Yes.
Well, between now and then, though, you will get little bits and pieces of us, whether you want them
will.
Whether you want them or not. And then we're gearing up for 2021 to unveil the podcast, maybe some new graphics and some different things. But that'll be the official start of season 2, which will have a more I guess predetermined end to that season than this one has.
It will.
And we may even get into season 3 in 2021 as well. But it's been a lot
of fun.
A great amount of fun, absolutely, to get to this point. We wish you all a happy, safe holiday season, no matter what it is you're celebrating, even if it's a made-up holiday. Celebrate it to the best of your ability, and let's look to a bigger 2021. We'll see you. I'll see you, and you'll hear us Thursday night, 9 to midnight, 700 WLW. We actually have a couple of fill-in shows as well.
So we've got this Thursday night, which is the 10th. We've got Thursday the 17th, and then we're obviously Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve we're off, but we'll be in 3 to 6 on the 22nd and the 28th. So those are filling in for Eddie and Rocky, December 22nd, December 28th.
Yes.
Prior to heading out to Erlanger and the Ralph Fulton VFW Hall for our big Monday Night Football extravaganza.
Maybe we should do some sort of like betting pool on the time it takes us to get. We'll start a timer when
God.
we leave.
Well, that's okay. We'll just record a segment or two. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's no problem whatsoever, right?
It's been a lot of fun here
It
in the
has.
Snow Globe, whether we're
Yep.
outside, we're inside, downstairs, upstairs, whatever it is. It's always fun. And enjoy the show. Enjoy the rest of the year.
Yep.
Have a great, safe time with
Absolutely.
your family and with what friends you are allowed to get together with. Fred, I'll see you more sooner than
You
you'd
will.
probably rather
Yep.
see me.
But thanks everybody for listening
Yeah.
and for telling other people about it. We really do appreciate it. We enjoy this. We hope you enjoy it half as much as we do.
Yeah,
So
please subscribe to the
Yep.
YouTube channel, Gamble,
Absolutely.
capital N, Finn. It don't cost nothing, as they like to say in my hometown. So we're going to wrap it up. He's Gamble, I'm Finn, and we are